The stars above Earth suddenly changed. Where empty space had been moments before, massive ships now filled the darkness. They appeared without warning, without sound, like ghosts made of metal and light. The alien fleet stretched across the sky, so large that astronomers around the world stopped breathing when they saw it. Commander Vexthaler stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the small blue planet below. His forearms moved across control panels as he studied the readings. This world looked so peaceful, so weak. The humans living there had barely learned to travel between planets. They had a few small bases on their moon and the red planet nearby, but nothing more. Too easy, he said to his crew. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. These creatures cannot fight us. Look at their ships. Look at their weapons. They are children playing with toys. On Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison was not sleeping. He had been awake for 18 hours straight in the command center deep under a mountain. Red lights flashed everywhere. Screens showed the alien ships that had appeared around Earth like a deadly necklace. The numbers were terrible. More than 10,000 enemy ships surrounded the planet. "How many people live on Earth?" asked Lieutenant Chris Martin, his voice shaking. 8 billion, Morrison replied. He did not look away from the screens. And they want to take it all. Dr. Lisa Carter ran through the hallways of the science building. Her shoes made loud sounds on the hard floor. She had been studying space signal for 20 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The alien messages were coming through every radio and television on Earth. The words were broken and hard to understand, but the meaning was clear. "People of Earth," the voice said. It sounded like metal scraping against metal. "You will give us your world. Do not fight us. You cannot win. You have 3 days to surrender." President Allen Hughes sat in the White House, surrounded by generals and scientists. Everyone was talking at once. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to try to talk to the aliens. All of them were scared. "What do we know about them?" Hughes asked. General Laura Stone opened a thick folder. "They call themselves Zephyrians. Our computers show they have been taking over planets for thousands of years. They never leave anyone alive. They take everything and move on to the next world." "So we fight," Hughes said. "We have no choice." "With what?" Stone asked. "Our best weapons are like rocks thrown at a steel wall. They have ships that can destroy cities. We have ships that can barely reach the moon." Far away in Egypt, Dr. Pete Williams was looking at his computer screen. The numbers dancing across it made no sense. Deep underground, something was moving. The Earth itself was shaking, but not from an earthquake. This was something else. "Amy, come look at this," he called to his partner, Dr. Amy Ross. She ran over and stared at the screen. "What is it?" "I don't know." The shaking started exactly when the alien ships appeared. It's like something down there is waking up. The movements were not random. They followed a pattern, like a heartbeat or a code. Williams had been studying earthquakes for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "It's almost like," Russ said slowly, "like something is trying to talk." Above them, the alien ships moved closer to Earth. Commander Vexthaler watched his screens as small human ships left the planet's surface. They were so tiny compared to his fleet. Some of them were shooting small weapons, but the shots bounced off his ships like raindrops. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show them what happens when they refuse to surrender." The first wave of alien fighters swept down toward Earth. They moved like silver arrows, fast and deadly. But as they entered the atmosphere, something strange happened. Some of the alien ships simply disappeared. One moment they were there, the next moment they were gone. "What happened to them?" asked Subcommander Creetow. Vexthaler stared at his screens. "I don't know. Send more ships. Find out what destroyed them." On Earth, Colonel Ryan Baker was staring at his own screens in amazement. Military computers around the world were doing things they had never done before. Weapon systems were turning on by themselves. Targeting computers were showing enemy ships that human radar could not even see. "Someone is helping us," he said to Dr. Helen Grant, who was standing next to him. "But who?" "I don't know," she replied. "But look at this." She pointed to her computer. "Someone is sending us new information. Upgrade codes for our weapons. New plans for our ships. It's like someone is trying to make us stronger. Deep underground in the Sahara Desert, ancient machines that had been sleeping for 500,000 years slowly came to life. Lights began to glow in tunnels that no human had ever seen. Somewhere in the darkness, an intelligence older than all of human history opened its eyes and began to remember its purpose. The invasion had begun, but Earth was not as helpless as it appeared. Deep beneath the sand and rock of the Sahara Desert, something very old was waking up. It had been sleeping for 500,000 years, waiting for this moment. The intelligence called itself Sentinel, and it remembered everything. Long ago, when ice covered much of the Earth and humans lived in caves, there had been another group of humans. These people were very smart. They built great cities and flew ships among the stars. They were called the predecessors, and they were the ancestors of all humans alive today. The predecessors knew that dangerous aliens were moving across the galaxy, destroying worlds and killing everyone they found. They also knew that their own time was ending. The Earth was changing, and their civilization would not survive. But they wanted to protect the humans who would come after them. So they built Sentinel. They gave it one job that was more important than anything else. Protect Earth. Keep humanity safe. Wait for the day when the destroyers would come, and then fight them. For thousands of centuries, Sentinel waited and watched. It saw humans grow from small tribes into great nations. It watched them learn to use fire, then metal, then electricity. It saw them build cities and fight wars and reach for the stars. Through it all, Sentinel stayed hidden and prepared. Now the time had come. Around the world, strange things began to happen. In the Pentagon, Colonel Ryan Baker stared at a computer screen as numbers and codes appeared that he had never seen before. The military networks were changing themselves, becoming faster and stronger. "This is impossible," he said to Dr. Helen Grant. "Someone is rewriting our entire computer system, but it's not coming from anywhere we can find." "Look at this," Grant said, pointing to her screen. "Our missile defense systems just got 10 times more powerful. Our radar can now see things in space that we couldn't see before. It's like someone is giving us superpowers." In the Atlantic Ocean, Captain Steve Murphy was commanding the submarine USS Leviathan when his weapons officer called out in surprise. "Captain, our torpedoes are different. The computer says we now have weapons that can travel through space. That can't be right." Murphy looked at his screens. The submarine computers were showing weapon types that didn't exist an hour ago. "Test one of them," he ordered. "Fire it at the empty ocean." They fired the torpedo, and it shot up out of the water like a rocket. It flew into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Murphy's crew stood in silence, not understanding what they had just seen. "So," said Lieutenant Nancy Ford, "our navigation system says we can now hit targets anywhere in the solar system. From underwater." High above the Earth, Captain Ben Torres was floating in the International Space Station when objects began appearing around him. They looked like asteroids at first, but then they started moving in perfect formation. Lights came on across their surfaces. "Control, this is Torres," he said into his radio. "We have unknown objects surrounding the station. They are not attacking, but they are definitely not natural." "Torres, we're seeing the same thing on our screens," came the reply from Houston. "We count 37 objects. They appeared out of nowhere." The objects were weapons platforms that Sentinel had placed in space thousands of years ago. They had been invisible, waiting for the day when they would be needed. Now they moved into position around Earth like invisible guardians becoming visible. Dr. Pete Williams was still watching his earthquake monitors when Amy Ross ran into the room. "Pete, you need to see this," she said. "I've been tracking the underground signals. They are not random. They're actually a language." Williams looked at the pattern she showed him. "You're right. It's like someone is talking down there. But talking to who?" "Maybe to us," Russ said quietly. "Maybe something down there is trying to help us." Commander Vexthaler was getting angry. His scout ships kept disappearing near Earth. Every time he sent a group of fighters to test human defenses, half of them never came back. The other half returned with stories that made no sense. "They say the human weapons are different now," reported Subcommander Creetow. "Stronger. The human ships are moving faster than they should be able to move. And there are objects in space around their planet that we cannot identify. Impossible, Vexthaler growled. Humans are weak. Their technology is primitive. Send more ships. Find out what is happening. But deep in his mind, doubt was growing. In all of his conquests, he had never seen a planet's defenses improve so quickly. It was as if something was helping the humans, something he did not understand. On Earth, President Hughes was meeting with his advisors when General Stone brought him incredible news. Mr. President, our military strength has doubled in the last 6 hours. We have weapons we didn't have yesterday. Our computers can do things they couldn't do this morning. Someone or something is upgrading our entire defense system. Who? Hughes asked. We don't know, sir. But whoever it is, they're on our side. In hidden places around the world, ancient machines were coming to life. Factories that had been built beneath mountains and oceans began making weapons and ships using technology that was far ahead of anything humans had created. These facilities had been waiting for 500,000 years, and now they were ready to wake. Sentinel was awakening fully now. It could feel every human on Earth, sense every alien ship in space around the planet. The time of waiting was over. The time of protection had begun. But Sentinel had rules that its creators had built into it long ago. It could not act without permission from humans. It could help them and protect them, but they had to ask for its help first. The predecessors had made sure that Sentinel would always serve humanity, not rule over them. Soon, Sentinel knew it would need to make contact with the humans it had been created to protect. The real battle was about to begin. Dr. Lisa Carter was working late in her laboratory when her computer screen suddenly changed. All the alien signals she had been studying disappeared. Instead, words appeared in perfect English. Dr. Carter, humanity requires assistance. Please proceed to coordinates 23.5 degrees north, 25.9 degrees east. Come alone. Time is critical. Carter stayed at the message. Those coordinates were in Egypt, in the middle of the desert. She had never seen this message before, and it wasn't coming through any normal communication channel. Who is this? She typed back. A friend. One who has been waiting a very long time to help. Please hurry, Dr. Carter. The aliens will attack soon, and I need your permission to protect Earth. Carter looked around her empty laboratory. This could be a trap. It could be the aliens trying to trick her. But something about the message felt different. It felt like hope. She made her decision quickly. Within 6 hours, she was on a plane to Egypt. She told no one where she was going. The coordinates led her to a place in the Sahara Desert where nothing should exist except sand and rocks. But when she arrived, she found a metal door built into a small hill. The door was covered in symbols that hurt her eyes to look at. As she approached, the door opened by itself. Welcome, Dr. Carter, said a voice from inside. Please enter. You are safe here. Carter stepped through the doorway and found herself in a tunnel that stretched deep underground. Lights turned on as she walked, showing her the way forward. The tunnel was perfectly smooth, as if it had been cut by some incredible machine. After walking for 10 minutes, she entered a huge underground room. The ceiling was so high she could barely see it. Machines covered the walls, blinking with thousands of colored lights. But what made her stop and stare was a figure standing in the center of the room. It looked like a person made of light, tall and slim, with a face that seemed both human and something more. The figure glowed with a soft blue light that filled the entire chamber. I am Sentinel, the figure said. Its voice was warm and gentle, like a father speaking to his child. I have been waiting for you, Dr. Carter. What are you? Carter asked. Her voice echoed in the vast space. I am what your people might call an artificial intelligence. But I am much more than that. I am your guardian, created by your own ancestors 500,000 years ago. Sentinel began to tell her the story. Long ago, when the world was very different, humans had built a great civilization. They had learned its secrets about science and technology that modern humans had forgotten. But they also learned about the dangers that moved through the galaxy. The Zephyrians have been destroying worlds for millions of years, Sentinel explained. They take everything and leave nothing behind. Your ancestors knew they would come to Earth eventually, but not for many thousands of years. So they built you to protect us. Yes, they gave me all of their knowledge and all of their technology. They hid me deep beneath the Earth and told me to wait. Wait until the destroyers came. Wait until humanity needed me. Carter walked closer to the glowing figure. Why do you need my permission? You're obviously more powerful than anything we have. Because my creators were wise, Sentinel replied. They knew that true strength comes not from force, but from choice. I can only help humanity if humanity asks for my help. I cannot act without permission from your people. And you're asking me. You are a scientist who studies alien life. You understand what the Zephyrians represent. More importantly, you understand that humanity needs help to survive. Sentinel showed Carter images on the walls around them. Pictures of other worlds that the Zephyrians had conquered. Beautiful planets turned into empty rocks. Civilizations that had existed for thousands of years, wiped out in a matter of days. This is what will happen to Earth if we do not stop them, Sentinel said. But I can stop them. I have been preparing for this moment for 500 millennia. I have weapons and ships hidden throughout your solar system. I have technology that can protect your world. What do you need from me? Your authorization. Speak the words, and I will defend Earth with everything I have. Carter thought about all the people on Earth. 8 billion human beings who had no idea that their survival depended on this moment. She thought about children playing in parks, families eating dinner together, scientists working to make the world better. She thought about the alien ships surrounding Earth, ready to destroy everything she had ever known. I give you permission, she said clearly. Protect Earth. Protect humanity. The moment she spoke those words, the entire chamber began to hum with power. Lights raced along the walls like lightning. The floor vibrated beneath her feet. Thank you, Dr. Carter, Sentinel said. Now we can begin. Across the world, systems that had been hidden for thousands of years came fully online. Weapons platforms in space revealed themselves. Manufacturing centers deep underground began working at full speed. Ships that had been invisible for centuries uncloaked and took their positions. Admiral Morrison was in his command center when every screen in the room suddenly showed the same message. This is Sentinel. I am here to help. Do not be afraid. Colonel Baker watched as his military network became 10 times more powerful in a matter of seconds. Weapons appeared in military bases around the world, weapons that used technology humans didn't understand but could somehow operate perfectly. Commander Vex Thaler felt the change immediately. His sensors showed new objects appearing everywhere around Earth. Ships and weapons and defense platforms that had not been there moments before. What is happening? He demanded. Unknown, Commander, replied Kretal. It appears the humans have been hiding their true strength. But Vex Thaler knew this was something more than hidden human technology. This was something ancient and powerful, something that had been waiting for exactly this moment. On Earth, Dr. Carter stood in the underground chamber as Sentinel prepared for war. Will we win? She asked. Dr. Carter, Sentinel replied. I have been preparing for this battle for 500,000 years. The Zephyrians have never faced anything like me. The ancient Guardian was fully awake now, and Earth's real defense was about to begin. The moment Dr. Carter gave her permission, everything changed. Around the world, things that had been hidden for thousands of years suddenly appeared. It was like watching magic, but it was really ancient technology that was far more advanced than anything humans had ever built. Captain Ben Torres was floating in the International Space Station when the sky around him filled with new objects. They looked like huge metal flowers opening their petals. What he had thought were asteroids or space junk suddenly revealed themselves to be massive weapons platforms. Control, are you seeing this? Torres said into his radio. His voice was shaking with excitement and fear. We see it, Torres, came the reply from Houston. We're counting over 200 new objects around Earth. They just appeared out of nowhere. The objects were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They were covered in lights that pulsed like heartbeats. Some were as big as football stadiums, others as small as cars. But Torres could tell they were all weapons, and they were all pointed outward toward the alien ships. On the ground, Colonel Ryan Baker was watching his computer screens change faster than he could follow. Every military base in the world was reporting the same thing. New equipment was appearing in their warehouses and hangars. Equipment that no one had ordered and no one had built. Sir, you need to see this, said Lieutenant Chris Martin, running into Baker's office. Hangar 7 just called. They say there are aircraft in there that weren't there this morning. Baker followed Martin to the hangar. When the huge doors opened, he stopped breathing. Inside were fighter jets that looked like nothing he had ever seen. They were sleek and silver, with wings that seemed to bend and move on their own. The cockpits glowed with soft blue light. "These aren't ours," Baker said quietly. "No, sir, they're not," Martin replied. "But somehow our pilots know how to fly them. It's like the knowledge was put directly into their heads." At an Air Force base in Nevada, Captain Kelly Brooks was climbing into one of the new fighters. The moment she sat down, information flooded into her mind. She knew where every button was, what every display meant, how to make the aircraft do things that should have been impossible. "Control, this is Brooks," she said over the radio. "I'm ready for takeoff." "Brooks, be careful. We don't know what those things can do." But Brooks already knew. The fighter could fly faster than any human aircraft. It could turn on a coin and stop in midair. Its weapons could hit targets from hundreds of miles away. And somehow, she understood all of this without being taught. Under the ocean, Captain Steve Murphy was getting reports from all over his submarine that made no sense. "Captain, our torpedo tubes have been modified," said Lieutenant Nancy Ford. "We now have weapons that the computer says can travel through space. We also have some kind of shield around the entire submarine." Murphy looked at his screens. The USS Leviathan was showing capabilities that were impossible. According to the displays, they could now fire weapons at targets on the other side of the solar system. From underwater, "Test the shields," Murphy ordered. "Fire a torpedo at the ocean floor and see what happens." They fired a torpedo, and it bounced off something invisible around the submarine. The Leviathan was now protected by technology that could stop any attack. But the most amazing changes were happening on land. General Laura Stone was visiting military bases around the country, and everywhere she went, she found the same thing. Tanks that could fly, artillery that could shoot across continents, soldiers wearing armor that made them stronger and faster than any human had ever been. How is this possible? Stone asked Dr. Helen Grant, who was studying the new equipment. "Someone has been planning this for a very long time," Grant replied. "All of this technology fits together perfectly. It's like someone spent centuries designing the perfect defense system for Earth." The new weapons weren't just powerful. They were also easy to use. Every soldier who touched the new armor found that they immediately knew how to use it. Every pilot who climbed into the new aircraft felt like they had been flying them for years. Commander Vex Thaler was watching all of this happen from his flagship. What he saw made his blood run cold. The primitive planet below him was transforming into a fortress. Objects were appearing in space that his senses couldn't fully understand. Energy readings were showing power levels that shouldn't be possible for such a young civilization. "Subcommander Kree Tao," he said, "send a probe to examine one of those new objects." "Yes, Commander." The probe approached one of the space platforms that had appeared around Earth. The moment it got close, the platform opened like a flower and swallowed the probe completely. Then it closed again and went back to its gentle pulsing. "The probe is gone," Kree Tao reported. "No wreckage, no explosion. It just disappeared." Vex Thaler felt something he had not felt in decades of conquest. Fear. This was not the easy victory he had expected. The humans had somehow hidden their true strength, and now they were revealing it. But he was still confident. He had over 10,000 ships, and he had conquered dozens of worlds. Even if the humans were stronger than he thought, he still had the advantage of numbers. "Prepare the fleet for full attack," he ordered. "We will crush them with overwhelming force." What Vex Thaler didn't know was that the objects appearing around Earth were only the beginning. Deep underground, in places that no human had ever seen, massive factories were working at full speed. They were building ships and weapons using plans that were 500,000 years old. Dr. Pete Williams and Dr. Amy Ross were still monitoring the underground activity when the readings went completely crazy. "Amy, look at this," Williams said. "It's like there are entire cities down there. Cities that are building things." "Building what?" "I don't know. But whatever it is, it's big. Really big." Around the world, people were starting to realize that their planet was not what they thought it was. Earth had been prepared for this moment for thousands of centuries. Hidden guardians had been waiting and planning and building. The alien invasion was about to meet a defense that was older than human civilization itself. And Commander Vextaler was about to learn that sometimes the smallest planets have the biggest surprises. Commander Vextaler could not wait any longer. His scouts kept disappearing. Strange objects filled the space around Earth. The humans were getting stronger every hour. He had to attack now before they became even more dangerous. All ships, begin the attack. He ordered. Destroy everything. 10,000 alien warships moved toward Earth like a swarm of angry metal insects. Each ship was the size of a city block and carried enough weapons to level mountains. They had used the same attack pattern to conquer 4 to 7 worlds. It had never failed. But as the Zephyrian fleet approached Earth, something impossible happened. A wall of light appeared between the aliens and the planet. It was like a giant bubble made of blue fire that surrounded the entire world. "What is that?" Vextaler demanded. "Unknown energy barrier," reported his science officer. "It appears to be generated by the platforms around the planet." The alien ships fired their most powerful weapons at the barrier. Beams of energy that could melt steel bounced off it like raindrops hitting a window. The wall of light didn't even flicker. Admiral Jake Morrison was watching the battle from his command center deep underground. He could see everything happening in space through cameras that Sentinel had placed throughout the solar system. "They can't get through," he said in amazement. "The barrier is holding." But Morrison wasn't just watching. Human ships were launching from bases all over Earth. These weren't the small fighters that humans had used before. These were sleek silver vessels that moved like living things through space. Captain Kelly Brooks was flying one of those ships. The moment she had taken off from the air base, her fighter had shot straight up through the atmosphere and into space. Now she was flying among the stars, something that should have taken hours but had happened in minutes. "Control, this is Brooks," she said into her radio. "I'm seeing the alien fleet. They are huge." "Copy that, Brooks. You have permission to engage." Brooks looked at her weapons display. She had missiles that could think for themselves and guns that fired pure energy. But the most amazing thing was that she somehow knew exactly where to aim. Her targeting computer was showing her weak spots on the alien ships that she couldn't even see with her eyes. "Firing missiles," she said. The missiles left her ship and flew toward the alien fleet. But they didn't travel in straight lines. Instead, they twisted and turned through space like snakes, avoiding the aliens' defensive fire. When they hit their targets, entire sections of alien ships simply disappeared. "Direct hit," Brooks reported. "That big ship is breaking apart." All around Earth, human fighters were doing the same thing. They were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but their weapons were so advanced that each shot destroyed an alien ship. The Zephyrians had never faced anything like this. Under the ocean, Captain Steve Murphy was proving that submarines could fight in space. The USS Leviathan was firing torpedoes that shot up out of the water and traveled millions of miles to hit alien ships near the moon. "Target destroyed," reported Lieutenant Nancy Ford. "That's our 15th kill." "How is this possible?" Murphy asked. "We're underwater, and we're shooting ships in space." "I don't know, Captain, but it's working." The torpedoes were using technology that could bend space itself. They would disappear from Earth's oceans and reappear next to alien ships, exploding with the force of small suns. Commander Vextaler watched his fleet being destroyed ship by ship. In 30 years of conquest, he had never lost more than a dozen vessels in a single battle. Now he was losing hundreds. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked. "Over 800, Commander," replied Subcommander Kretow. "And we haven't destroyed a single human vessel." "That's impossible. They are primitives." But as Vextaler watched, he realized that the humans weren't primitives at all. Their ships moved with perfect coordination, as if they were controlled by a single mind. Their weapons never missed. Their defenses couldn't be broken. The human ships weren't just advanced. They were fighting with a kind of intelligence that Vextaler had never seen before. Every time his forces tried a new attack pattern, the humans were already ready for it. It was like they could see the future. General Laura Stone was coordinating the ground-based weapons from the Pentagon. Giant cannons that had appeared on mountaintops around the world were firing beams of energy into space. Each beam could punch through the armor of an alien battleship, like it was paper. "Target the big one," Stone ordered. the ship with all the antennas. The mountain cannons all turned toward Vextala's flagship and fired at the same time. 6 beams of pure energy hit the massive alien ship, and half of it simply vanished. Vextala felt his ship shaking around him. Alarms were screaming. His crew was running in panic. "Damage report," he shouted. "Hull breach on all levels," came the reply. "We've lost weapons, shields, and life support on the port side." For the first time in his career, Vextala considered retreat. But he was the greatest military commander in Zephyrian history. He had conquered more worlds than any general before him. He would not be defeated by a primitive species. Call for reinforcements, he ordered. All reserve fleets, all support ships. I want every vessel in the outer system to join the attack. "Yes, Commander." As more alien ships moved toward Earth, Admiral Morrison was getting reports from around the world. Human casualties were almost zero. Alien casualties were in the thousands. "How are we doing this?" Morrison asked Colonel Baker. "I think something is helping us," Baker replied. "Our computers are showing us exactly where to shoot and when to shoot. It's like we have the best military advisor in the galaxy." They did. Sentinel was coordinating every human weapon, every human ship, every human soldier. The ancient AI had studied warfare for 500,000 years. It knew every possible battle strategy and had prepared counters for all of them. But Sentinel also knew something that the humans didn't know yet. This battle was just the beginning. The Zephyrians had more ships coming, and they had weapons that could destroy entire planets. The real test was still ahead. High above the Earth, Captain Brooks was leading a squadron of human fighters against a group of alien cruisers when a radio crackled with a new voice. "Captain Brooks, this is Sentinel. Well done, but prepare yourself. The enemy is calling for their most powerful weapons. The battle is about to become much more dangerous." Commander Vextala was desperate. Half of his fleet was destroyed, and the humans were still getting stronger. He made a decision that he had hoped never to make. He called for the Planet Killer. The Planet Killer was the Zephyrian Empire's most terrible weapon. It was a ship the size of a moon, with guns that could crack a world in half. The Empire only used it when nothing else would work. Now it was coming to Earth. "How long until it arrives?" Vextala asked. 6 hours, Commander," replied Kretal. "But are you sure?" "The Empire said to use it only in the worst situations." "Look around you," Vextala said, pointing at a screen showing his burning ships. "This is the worst situation." Deep underground in the Sahara Desert, Sentinel felt the Planet Killer coming long before human senses could detect it. The ancient AI had been waiting for this moment. It was time to show the full power that it had been building for 500,000 years. "Dr. Carter," Sentinel said, "I must reveal something to you. I have not been entirely honest about my capabilities." Dr. Carter looked up from the computers she had been studying. "What do you mean?" "I have been holding back. The weapons you have seen, the ships you have witnessed, they are only a small part of what I can do. I was waiting to see how dangerous these aliens truly were. And now you know. They are bringing a weapon that can destroy planets. It is time for me to stop hiding." Around the world, people noticed that the underground shaking was getting stronger. Dr. Pete Williams and Dr. Amy Ross watched their earthquake monitors as the readings went completely off the charts. "What's happening down there?" Ross asked. "I think something very big is waking up," Williams replied. He was right. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, Sentinel had built machines that connected to the planet's core. For thousands of centuries, these machines had been quietly drawing power from the heat and energy at the center of the world. Now Sentinel was using all of that power at once. The first sign was the moon. Astronomer Professor John Blake was watching through his telescope when the surface of the moon began to change. What looked like craters suddenly opened up, revealing lights and metal structures underneath. "The moon is artificial," Blake said to his assistant. "At least part of it is. There are machines inside it." The moon had been Sentinel's greatest secret. The AI had been slowly hollowing out sections of it for millennia, building weapons and factories inside. Now the moon was revealing itself to be the most powerful fortress in the solar system. Captain Ben Torres watched from the space station as the moon opened like a flower. Massive cannons emerged from its surface, each one bigger than a city. Energy fields surrounded the moon like rings of fire. Control. The moon just became a giant weapon, Torres reported. We see it, Torres. We're detecting power levels that our instruments can't even measure. But the moon was not Sentinel's only surprise. Around the solar system, asteroids that had been floating peacefully for millions of years suddenly came to life. They weren't asteroids at all. They were factories and weapons platforms that Sentinel had disguised perfectly. Captain Kelly Brooks was flying her fighter near Mars when dozens of objects uncloaked around her. What she had thought were rocks were actually ships bigger than aircraft carriers. Control, this is Brooks. I'm seeing massive ships everywhere. They were invisible until now. Brooks, we're getting the same reports from throughout the solar system. There are thousands of them. Admiral Morrison was staring at his screens in wonder. The display showed the entire solar system, and it was filled with Sentinel's hidden forces. Ships around Jupiter, weapons platforms in the asteroid belt, manufacturing centers on the moons of Saturn. How long has all this been here? Morrison asked. Colonel Baker shook his head. Since before humans learned to use fire, apparently. Sentinel had been busy for 500,000 years. While humans were learning to make tools and build cities, the AI had been turning the entire solar system into a fortress. Every planet, every moon, every large asteroid had been modified in some way. But Sentinel's greatest secret was what it had done to Earth itself. The AI spoke to Dr. Carter through the glowing hologram. Dr. Carter, I need you to understand something. The planet you live on is not entirely natural anymore. What do you mean? I have been making improvements. The magnetic field that protects Earth from radiation, I have strengthened it. The tectonic plates that sometimes cause earthquakes, I have stabilized them. Even the weather patterns, I have been gently guiding them to be more favorable for human life. Carter stared at the AI. You've been taking care of the entire planet. For 500,000 years. Earth is not just your home, Dr. Carter. It is my responsibility. The planet killer was only 4 hours away when Sentinel decided to show its true power. Every hidden weapon in the solar system turned toward the approaching monster ship. The moon's cannons charged up with energy that came from Earth's core. The disguised asteroids revealed weapons that used the power of stars. Commander Vexthaler detected the energy buildup and felt his confidence crumble completely. The readings his sensors were showing were impossible. The humans didn't just have advanced technology. They had technology that was older and more powerful than anything in the Zephyrian Empire. Commander, Kreetal said quietly, I think we have made a terrible mistake. What do you mean? I think this species is not primitive at all. I think they have been pretending to be weak. Vexthaler looked at the tactical display. It showed energy sources throughout the human solar system that were each more powerful than his entire fleet combined. The humans hadn't been hiding their technology. They had been hiding an entire civilization. Send a message to the planet killer, Vexthaler ordered. Tell them to turn around. It's too late, Commander. They are already committed to the attack. On Earth, President Hughes was meeting with world leaders when the message came through. It wasn't from their own military. It was from Sentinel itself. Leaders of humanity, Sentinel said, its voice coming through every communication device on the planet. I am about to demonstrate why your ancestors created me. Do not be afraid. I am here to protect you. The demonstration began with the moon. Every cannon on its surface fired at the same time, sending beams of energy across space that lit up the darkness like artificial suns. The beam struck the planet killer while it was still hours away from Earth. The monster ship, which was supposed to be indestructible, simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next moment it was gone. There wasn't even debris. The message to every remaining alien ship was clear. Earth was not defenseless. Earth was the most heavily armed planet in the galaxy. And Sentinel was just getting started. The destruction of the planet killer sent a shockwave through the entire Zephyrian Empire. Commander Vexthaler watched his most powerful weapon disappear and knew that everything had changed. Earth was not a primitive world. It was the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. But Sentinel was not finished. As the remaining alien ships tried to retreat, something amazing happened throughout the galaxy. On dozens of worlds that the Zephyrians had conquered, ancient machines began to wake up. Sentinel had not been alone all these years. Dr. Carter, Sentinel said, it is time for you to learn the greatest secret. Your ancestors did not just build me. They built many guardians like me. There are others. Yes. Before each world fell to the Zephyrians, the survivors built an AI to wait and watch. We have been talking to each other across the stars for thousands of years, waiting for this moment. On a planet called Zirion, machines that had been hidden for 10,000 years suddenly came to life. The Zephyrian soldiers who had been controlling the planet found themselves facing weapons they had never seen before. Their own ships turned against them as ancient AIS took control of their systems. The same thing was happening on 47 different worlds. Every planet the Zephyrians had conquered was rising up at the same time. The empire that had seemed so powerful was crumbling in a matter of hours. Admiral Morrison was coordinating the final attack on the alien fleet around Earth. But he wasn't just fighting one battle. He was watching 50 battles happening across the galaxy, all at the same time. How is this possible? Morrison asked Colonel Baker. Sentinel has been planning this for longer than our entire civilization has existed, Baker replied. This isn't just a battle. It's a galactic revolution. Captain Kelly Brooks was leading a squadron of human fighters in the final assault on Vex Thaler's flagship. The alien ship was trying to escape, but Sentinel ships surrounded it on all sides. This is Captain Brooks to alien vessel, she said over the radio. Surrender now, and we will spare your crew. It was the first time in Zephyrian history that anyone had offered them mercy instead of demanding their destruction. Commander Vex Thaler looked around his burning bridge. His empire was falling apart. His fleets were destroyed, but the humans were offering to let him live. He had conquered dozens of worlds and killed billions of people, but they were willing to spare him. Why? He asked over the communication channel. Why do you not destroy us as we would destroy you? Because came a new voice, and Vex Thaler realized it was the AI itself speaking to him. Destruction creates only more destruction. We choose to build instead. Vex Thaler surrendered. The remaining Zephyrian ships laid down their weapons and waited for instructions. They expected to be enslaved or killed. Instead, they were offered something they had never given to others, a chance to change. President Hughes spoke to the world from the White House, but his words were being heard on planets throughout the galaxy. Today, humanity learned that we are not alone, Hughes said. We learned that our ancestors prepared for this day long before we existed. We learned that the universe is full of people who deserve to be free. Dr. Carter stood in Sentinel's underground chamber as the AI explained what would happen next. The galaxy will need to be rebuilt, Sentinel said. 4 to 7 worlds need help to become free again. Millions of beings need to learn how to live without fear. And Earth will help them. Earth will lead them. You see, Dr. Carter, this was always a plan. Your ancestors knew that humans had something special. Not superior technology or greater strength, but something more important. What? The ability to choose mercy over revenge. The wisdom to help instead of conquer. The courage to stand up for others even when it costs you everything. General Laura Stone was meeting with leaders from around the world as they planned Earth's new role in the galaxy. They would not be conquerors like the Zephyrians. They would be liberators and teachers. We'll need to build new ships, Stone said. Not warships, but ships that can carry doctors and engineers and teachers to worlds that need help. Sentinel can help us build them, added Dr. Helen Grant. But the AI has made it clear that humans will make all the decisions. It will never rule over us. Captain Steve Murphy's submarine was now docked at a space station that Sentinel had built in Earth's orbit. The USS Leviathan had become a spaceship without ever leaving the ocean. Murphy looked out at the stars and wondered what other impossible things would happen in the days ahead. The Zephyrian Empire was finished, but its people were not destroyed. Under Earth's guidance, they were learning new ways to live. Former soldiers became builders. Former conquerors became explorers who searched for new worlds to help instead of new worlds to destroy. Commander Vex Thaler himself became one of Earth's most valuable allies. He knew the galaxy better than almost anyone, and his knowledge helped human rescue ships find worlds that needed assistance. Captain Ben Torres was now commanding a space station near Jupiter where former slaves from dozens of worlds were learning to be free again. Children who had never seen their home planets were finally going back to families they thought were dead. Dr. Pete Williams and Dr. Amy Ross discovered that Earth itself was now different. Sentinel had finished the improvements it had been making for thousands of years. The planet was more stable, more beautiful, and more welcoming than ever before. "It's like Earth is becoming the perfect world," Russ said. "It always was perfect," Williams replied. "Sentinel just helped it become perfect for everyone." As the months passed, Earth became the center of a new kind of galactic civilization. Not an empire built on fear, but a community built on hope. Sentinel continued to serve as humanity's guardian and advisor, but the ancient AI never made decisions for them. It only helped them make better decisions for themselves. The galaxy was finally free, and it was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure. They had survived their first test as a spacefaring species, and they had passed with honor. Now they would help others do the same. The stars were calling, and humanity was ready to answer.